In a vibrant, ancient forest, where sunlight dappled through leaves like scattered gold coins, lived two young, inquisitive birds named Puku and Puki. They were siblings, fresh out of their shell. And the world was a vast, exciting, yet intimidating mystery. Puku was a whirlwind of chirps and restless energy. He wanted to see everything, experience everything. Now, when their mother taught them how to find the sweetest berries, Puku would often dart off before the lesson was complete, sometimes mistaking a bitter, unripe fruit for a treat, or dropping half his haul in his haste. Slow down, Puku, Puki would often advise, her voice a calm murmur. Puki was more observant, more patient. She watched their parents meticulously, studied the patterns of the wind, and remembered which branches bore the most succulent grubs. The day came for their first flight. Their parents, wise old robins, demonstrated the delicate art of spreading wings, catching thermals, and pushing off with strong legs. Puku, with his usual impetuosity, barely waited for the full explanation. He hopped to the edge of the nest, flapped wildly, and plummeted a few feet before awkwardly righting himself and landing with a clumsy thud on a lower branch. He was frustrated, feathers ruffled, his little heart pounding with a mix of fear and indignation. It's too hard, he chirped angrily. Puki, however, took a deep breath. She mimicked her father's movements carefully, one wing at a time. Her first flight was wobbly, a descent more than an ascent, but she landed softly, gracefully, a little further down the branch. She looked back at Puku, who was still fuming. It's not about being fast, Puku, she called. It's about being steady, about learning from each little fall. Life, as they soon discovered, was a series of falls and steady ascents. One season, a fierce storm descended upon the forest. The wind howled, rain lashed, and trees swayed violently. Puku, ever the explorer, had ventured further than usual and was caught far from the safety of their home tree. Panic seized him. He flapped desperately against the wind, getting nowhere, fear clouding his judgment. Then, through the torrential rain, he heard a faint but steady chirp. It was Puki, tucked safely under a large, gnarled root, beckoning him. Don't fight it, Puku, she called. Find shelter. Remember how father taught us to use the strong winds, not to push against them, but to find a calm pocket. Quote. Puku, exhausted and terrified, decided to listen. Instead of battling the gale head-on, he allowed himself to be pushed, searching frantically for a large, stable trunk, a deep hollow, anything to break the wind's assault. He recalled his father's words about using the forest's natural architecture, words he'd half listened to. He remembered Puki's patience, her ability to find solace even in small crevice. Finally, he spotted a thick, moss-covered log, partially submerged, and managed to land in its sheltered lee. Just as Puki had done under her root. He was drenched and shivering, but safe, as the storm passed and the sun returned, casting prisms through the dripping leaves. Puku flew to Puki. You saved me, he chirped, humility in his voice. Puki nudged him gently. No, Puku, life saved you, and our parents' lessons, and your own ability to listen, even when you didn't want to. Every time you fell, you learned how to land. Every time you were impatient, you saw the value of carefulness. This storm, it was just another fall, another lesson. Years passed. Puku and Puki grew into magnificent birds, each with their own mate and nestlings. Puku, though still spirited, had learned the profound value of patience and observation. He taught his own young not just how to fly, but why it was important to feel the wind, to understand the branches, to learn from every mistake. He shared stories of his early blunders, not with shame, but with the wisdom of experience. Puki, ever the calm and discerning one, continued to teach her young the importance of quiet observation and thoughtful action. But she also encouraged them to explore, to test their limits, knowing that sometimes, the only way to truly learn was to take that leap, even if it meant a clumsy landing. They both understood then, with the clarity of aged wisdom, that life wasn't about avoiding the falls, the storms, or the bitter berries. It was about embracing them, extracting the lesson from each struggle, and using those experiences to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The forest, with all its dangers and delights, was the greatest teacher of all. And every challenge, a profound lesson waiting to be learned. Puku and Puki, in their quiet wisdom, knew that life didn't just happen to them. Life was constantly, patiently, teaching them